All right. Oh, thank you. That's great. It's so wonderful to see so many folks here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to welcome the Arrow of Light Cub Scouts. They're fifth graders that are here. You'll see them all back there, those handsome young men. Not 10, 9, 7. They have joined us. They're working on, is it a badge?
Yes.
A badge on, governance and this is part of what they do to, acquire the badge. So we're very, very happy to have them here. And I would like to open this meeting with the pledge and prayer. So please stand.
I do need to do the flag.
Joseph, look like you're up.
All right. While you're here, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, dear Lord. Continue to guide us, protect us, and keep us. And we just want you to continue to come alongside our town, our staff, our commission, and our residents, so we can do things according to your will and not ours. Continue to guide us, protect us, keep us all safe, and help us to understand that you are ultimately in control of everything that we do tonight. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. I just can't believe I'm very good looking.
That's why they put me here.
All right, the first presentation is a proclamation on Week of the Family. Do we have someone from Week of the Family?
We do.
All right, Victoria, right?
Yes, what a family. You're wonderful.
You want me to read the proclamation? That works. And if you have anything to say? Okay, this is the mayor's proclamation, Town of Oakland, Week of the Family. Whereas the town of Oakland is blessed with a multitude of families, an essential part of the culture, social, and spiritual fabric of our community. And whereas the town of Oakland commissioners recognize that strong families are at the center of strong communities, that children live better lives when their families are strong, and that families are strong when they live in communities that connect them, economic opportunities, social networks, and services. And whereas everyone has a role to play in making families successful, including neighborhood organizations, businesses, nonprofit agencies, policymakers, and of course, families themselves. Whereas during the week of November 5th through November 12th, town residents should take time to honor the importance of families and recommit to enhancing and extending the special connections that support and strengthen them throughout the year.
Thank you so much for that beautiful proclamation and for participating in Week of Family for years now. And you're a wonderful place for families every week of the year. I'm always coming over here for events you have and encouraging others to attend. In fact, we would be happy to post events here on our Week of the Family website throughout the year to encourage attendance. And we can work that out. And we're having is typically we always end it with the Mayor's Family Fun Day. And this year it's at Cypress Grove Park. And if there's any organizations in your town who would like to exhibit there, it's free.
Okay.
I left one of these over there, and you can just go to the website and sign up. If you're selling something, there's a fee, but if you're just there to give out information or have nice activities or something like that, it's at no charge.
Okay.
And so there's also a family mental health workshop. And so that's on the back of the same form. So thank you again for everything. We really appreciate you.
Awesome.
Yes.
And I think, do we want to get everybody? Like to do. Come on, it's a party.
Okay, everybody. Oh,
Later. Day and other.
Close, so I don't have to crop you off. All right, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we get it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We're gonna use the-
All right. The second big thing that we're gonna do, and this is, I think, really a really neat thing for the Cub Scouts to see, because it does not happen often in any municipality. And it's not that you want it to happen often. You want continuity of leadership. And one of the most important departments we have here is our law enforcement department. So we have spent a long time, or staff has spent a long time looking at candidates, working with a firm to help us identify the appropriate folks to interview. And we have come up with a new police chief for the town of Oakland. So Darren Eason, right? Got it right? Come on up. Police is looking at me like, now make sure you remember, we do need a vote to approve his position and to hire him. So do we have any questions at the table?
I got one question.
Okay.
Marching Chiefs or Marching 100?
Both,
Okay,
because I listened to the marching 100 while I was at rehearsal with the marching chiefs.
Oh,
That ain't an answer. There goes the vote.
know that.
it's on the CV, that's why.
Darren comes to us from most recently the Orlando Police Department, where you've had a very long career. Correct? As a lieutenant, you're coming to us.
Yes, ma'am.
You will be the chief here, and I'm wondering if any of you have any questions. We have seen your resume clearly, marching chiefs or marching 100. And do we have any questions or thoughts before we make a motion?
I have to ask mine in private.
All right, I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept Mr. Eason as our chief of police. Second.
And I do need to open this up just to ask for public comment, but unless it's compelling, like, is there any reason why you shouldn't marry this person? We're really not looking for any.
It's pretty literal.
So I have been excited about this for a little while, but I get to swear you in, which is a very exciting thing. Our Director of Police Operations so very nicely said I could do it, and I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so you raise your right hand. This is my right hand. I, Darren Eason,
I, Darren Eason,
solemnly swear that I will support,
solemnly swear that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States,
protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States,
the laws of the state of Florida and the charter ordinances
the laws of the state of Florida and the charter and ordinances
of the town of Oakland,
of the town of Oakland,
that I am duly qualified to hold office,
that I am duly qualified to hold office,
and that I will well and faithfully perform all of the duties of the chief of police
and that I will well and faithfully perform all of the duties of the chief of police
for the town of Oakland,
for the town of Oakland,
of which I am about to enter.
of which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Got a few pictures.
No problem.
Elise is gonna come up. I'll be right back. Come on, guys, it's a party again. We're gonna come over here in a minute too, so kind of like put yourself together for a picture.
And he was telling me that Fridays are going to be Hawaiian shirt days.
Don't pay attention.
Maria. Oh, we'll have all the girls. Switch sides to Maria. Put you guys in the middle.
Right there. Ready? Back, two, one. Okay, then you're gonna get one over here.
Yes, that was 17. All right.
More pictures.
There you go. There you go. Oh, come over here. Right, sit next to you.
Hey, squish.
Everybody, get comfortable. Come on.
Did we all take a shower?
It is when you. No,
All right. You ready? Okay, you two on the end, just. Two, three. One more and one more. Cute.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hang in there.
Oh, tomorrow.
Hi, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Start. Right.
Figure out a way to get back or something.
I did. All right.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
He
Steve is on.
is. All right. Oh, hi, guys.
All right.
Where you going?
There's some seats right over here. Had a few people vacate. Yes.
Yep.
I just need one, yeah. Thank you.
Very much.
I was gonna introduce you to my husband, but he's out the door. It pains him to do that. Ready to go again? For the Cub Scout Arrow of Light, what'd you think of that? That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen every day, and that's part of the way that local municipal government works, is everything is done in the public so that the public sees everything that we do that's official. And so that they know what is going on. So we do all of our work in what we call in the sunshine. So anyway.
Ready for a test? Okay.
Oh, you guys are cute. Okay, we're gonna do public forum now. And public forum is for anybody who wishes to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda. And we ask that you keep your comments brief and come to the podium and tell us who you are. Do we have any takers? Okay. Next is the consent agenda. So we at the table have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? And for the Cub Scouts, the consent agenda is a consolidation of some business that we do all at once. It's usually, it's not something that's going to take a lot of conversation. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I'm going to open it to the public. If anybody has a comment or a question, please let me know. All right, I'm going to close it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So in that consent agenda, we appointed one person to the Appearance Review Board and 2 people to Planning and Zoning. And so I am going to quickly swear them in and take pictures. We'll do them one at a time, we'll swear them in, swear you guys in one at a time, and then we'll just gather for a picture at the end. How's that sound? All right, so first we have April Grimes. And April is being recommended to fill a regular position on ARB, Appearance Review Board. April is a licensed architect with about 7 years of experience working on both large scale and small scale multifamily projects. April is currently an architect with Dwell Design Studio. She received her Associate of Architecture degree from Valencia College and her Master of Architecture degree from the University of South Florida. April's family has lived in Oakland for 4 generations. April has very, very deep roots here. Would it have been your great grandfather? Was Constable Tubb?
My grandmother was Constance Tubbs, and then her father was Robert Cleveland Tubbs.
Yes, and he was a constable here, right?
I'm not sure.
I think so, but that's what the circle's name.
You knew that.
And I think it's, her parents are involved with the Oakland Presbyterian Church, and both her parents have done a lot of service to this community. So it's great to have you with us now. So here we go. I, April Grimes.
Hi, April Grimes.
Oh, wait a minute, right here. Solemnly swear to affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Florida, and the town of Oakland, Florida.
the state of Florida, and the town of Oakland, Florida.
That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state,
That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state
and the town of Oakland, Florida.
and the town of Oakland, Florida.
And that I will well and faithfully perform duties as a member
And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of a member
of the Appearance Review Board of the town of Oakland, Florida.
of the Experience Review Board of the town of Oakland.
Congratulations. That was one.
Thank you.
So, put it in. And we're gonna get you back up for a picture.
Okay.
in a minute. Okay. So next we have Michael Elliott, who is being recommended as the first alternate position on the Planning and Zoning Board. Michael has over 25 years in the construction and development industry. Michael was previously a licensed general contractor and is currently a certified construction manager working for Hilton Resorts. Michael is a fairly new resident to Oakland after moving to the Oakland side of Oakland Park. So Michael, come on up. Raise your right hand. I, Michael Elliott, solemnly swear and affirm that I will support,
I, Michael Elliott, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States,
protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States,
the state of Florida and the town of Oakland, Florida,
the state of Florida, and the town of Oakland, Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state and the town,
that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state and the town of Oakland, Florida,
very good, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of a member of the Planning and Zoning Board of the town of Oakland, Florida.
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board of the town of Oakland, Florida.
One, two,
He's left-handed. That's a good thing, right?
pardon?
He's left-handed.
Oh, that is a good thing. I'm lefty. That's a very good thing. So you get to keep this one. You were right. And welcome. We'll
Thank
get together for a picture in just a moment. All right. Did some. The next person is well known to many of us because of all of her volunteer work here in town. And her son-in-law is the pack leader. Is that your title? Den leader. And you're also, do you serve on SAC? Serves on the school board committee. Deidre, you were Nancy's daughter, Deidre, sitting next to her. You were what is it?
This isn't going well.
Well, it's, it was PTA when I was going to school. PTO. That's why I'm stumbling on that one. And many other things, every time there's an event or something to do, they're always there. You did a beautiful Christmas tree for the tree exhibition. So Nancy Ross is being recommended for the second alternate position on the Planning and Zoning Board. Nancy retired from the United States Postal Service after 42 years of service in many areas of USPS, including marketing, special events, HR operations, government relations, communications, and PR. Nancy has been an Oakland resident for over 8 years and is a very active volunteer with the town of Oakland, assisting with Santa's Lane and Celebration Among the Oaks, as well as volunteering frequently at the Healthy West Orange and Heritage Center. Come on up, Nancy. I, Nancy Ross, solemnly swear and affirm. I, Nancy Ross, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States. That I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States. The state of Florida and the town of Oakland, Florida. The state of Florida and the town of Oakland, Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state and the town of Oakland. That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution and laws of the state and the town of Florida, Oakland, Florida. That I will well and faithfully perform the duties as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board of the town of Oakland, Florida. And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board of the town of Oakland, Florida. Awesome. And then you get the one.
I'm also
We have the
left-handed.
top two, Michael and April, come on up.
Mayor?
Oh, sorry, yes. And then one more under.
Mayor, he's left-handed also.
Two left-handers.
Well, boy, did we make a mistake. One should have left.
this one, over at yours.
Thank you.
That's my stolen finger. Let's go get a picture. Want to put that down?
Yeah.
Here, let me grab this, so it looks pretty.
I did it.
Come on in, Nancy. We did. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Josephine. Well, there we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Very much.
Okay, does that wrap up the meeting?
No, it does not. Bye, Cubbies.
Thank y'all.
Bye, kiddos.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. There's still a lot of people here.
There's many of them.
All right. The next thing on the agenda is first public hearing ordinance 2022-22.
It's the first public hearing for ordinance number 2022-22, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, approving the third amendment to the development agreement for the Oakland Park Planned Unit Development, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Okay. Whoa.
Well, Brad Cornelius, our contracted town planner, will be giving this presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As you read, this evening you have the first reading for an ordinance for the third amendment to the Oakland Park Development Agreement. I have a very short PowerPoint to go over. I'm not going to go into the weeds with you all this evening, just give you the highlight about what this is. As you all know, this project's been going on here in the town for several years, and this is the third amendment. This discussion actually began before I started working here with the town, and now it's coming before you this evening. And what brings this on is there's some disconnect between what's in your development agreement currently versus what are in their design standards. And there's also issues that appear every once in a while within this project, which this will make it much more efficient and effective as this project continues to build out while still maintaining the character of this project and what the town wants it to be. So what this amendment does, thank you, man, is there's 4 basic items that this addresses. So the first is what this is doing is providing some flexibility for lots within this development. They're adjacent to the Oakland Trail open space, adjacent to Lake Apopka or the drainage canal, where it gives some flexibility within those setbacks within that to take advantage of that character and of that amenity that's there. Again, it protects it. It doesn't result in negative impacts, but just provides some opportunity for flexibility within there. What this also does, it allows for accessory dwelling units within these attached garages, both on the first and second story. There is a limitation on that on properties that are adjacent to Winter's Landing. That is not allowed on the second story within this proposal. Also with the flexibility, it also provides where we have situations in this development where there's some irregular shaped lots, some lots that may be just a little bit different in their orientation. There's also provides that flexibility within the setback standards. However, it still maintains the core requirements of like 15-foot building separations. That still is maintained there. Just provides some flexibility within that provision. And it's not throughout the project, it's within certain properties that would need that kind of relief for that. The other important thing this does, it really clarifies the interaction between the town and this development. and the designated town architect for Oakland Park. How this is structured is to take advantage of these flexibilities and these standards is that first it has to go through the review with Oakland Park, and their town architect has to say, yes, this is consistent with our design standards, with our intent as a development. Then it comes to us here at the town. And then this would administratively, the town, then we would be able to say, yes, that is also consistent with the intent we have as the town for this project, and be able to allow for some administrative waivers for setbacks or things like that. Again, that doesn't violate the intent or standard of what this project is within the consistency of this project. And that's what this does. So that's really the highlights of what this amendment is. You'll see in the table, there's lots of crossouts and strikeouts. What those are adjustments. I won't get into the weeds of those unless you have questions with it. I know the applicant is here and she also has a presentation. So that is what's before you. This is your first reading. This will come back to you again if you pass the first reading tonight for one more hearing. Again, if you have any questions about this between now and then, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer them the best that I can. So with that, to conclude my presentation, we do find this consistent with the intent of your PUD. We also find it consistent with your land development code and comprehensive plan, and we do recommend you approve the first reading of ordinance 2022-22. So I'll be happy to answer questions at this point.
Okay, do we have any questions at the table?
Good. Thank you.
I'm not going to open it up to the public until we get a motion. If we understand this correctly, and if we don't, have further questions, Deborah, do you really want to present?
Oh, no, I could be available for questions.
Perfect. So, if we don't have any questions at the table, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-22. Again.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. This is the first reading. There will be a second. It will be advertised. And I need to open a public hearing to the public. Does anyone have any questions or comments? If you do, please come to the podium, tell us who you are, and try and keep your comments or questions brief and non-redundant. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are going to other policy matters, which is Bayview at Johns Lake. Deborah and Kathy, if you want to go, go. You're allowed. Anybody who's done with whatever if they feel the need to go and they're done with whatever they're here for, it's okay. We're just happy to have you here. All right. Other policy matters, Bayview at Johns Lake, preliminary subdivision plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Brad Cornelius with Wade Trims for the contracted town planner. As you all recall, in August, this was before you for your consideration for the preliminary subdivision plan for a 20-unit Elsie, can you please? Thank you, please. For a proposed 20-unit single-family subdivision at the end of Remington Road. Where we are in this process, just again to make sure everybody is aware, this is still the step one of the overall process for this project to move forward. This is the preliminary subdivision plan. So not all the 100% engineering answers are here yet. The majority picture is there, but there's still details to be worked out, which happens as it goes through the process. But overall, this is reasonable in what we have before us. What happens if this is approved this evening moving forward? What will happen is they take this concept plan, now they develop the 100% engineering construction plans, prepare the plat, that will then come back before you all for your approval again. So you'll see this again as this moves forward through the process if this is approved this evening. And those are steps 2 and 3. So we're at step 1 tonight, just to make sure that's clear to everyone. Okay, next, please. So again, just an overview very quickly. This is a 7-acre site there at the southern end of Remington Road. And again, it's a vacant property at this point. Next, please. This is the new subdivision plan. The full packet is within your agenda. It's still 20 lots as you saw previously. What has occurred since August is a lot. there's been a lot of meetings and discussions and review working with the applicant. As you may all recall, there were several issues and concerns that came up here before. Just to summarize, absolutely concerned about the adjacency and compatibility with the adjacent neighborhood, concerns about traffic and infrastructure. And those are probably the big two largest concerns that were discussed at that last meeting. So we've tried to address those over the last 3 months, working with the applicant to have answers to those concerns and those questions. So the first part is just to go over the compatibility in terms of density and lot sizes. That was a concern and question at the last meeting. So this property within your future land use map and your comprehensive plan has a designation of low density residential. What that means is it could have a maximum of 3.25 dwelling units per acre. That's the most that could be on this property if things fit. This property, though, at 20 units on the 7 acres is being developed at 2.86 acres. So it's actually being developed less than potential maximum. Now, I will say nobody's ever guaranteed the maximum because it depends on site characteristics and constraints, but they are within the maximum that could be allowed. They're less than the maximum that could be allowed on this property. The other concern was about the lot sizes and the 70-foot lots by 125. Why the 70 by 125 are appropriate here is under your zoning R1A and under your design district, general neighborhood general, the minimum lot size allowed within that design district is a 70-foot wide lot by 125-foot deep. So it does meet that minimum lot size requirement of that design district. For the 60-foot lots, there are 3 of those. They're on the corners, and your design district allows a 60-foot wide lot on corner lots. So it is consistent with that as well. And then the 3 lakefront lots, those range somewhere between 78 and 80, roughly about 80 feet. So they also meet the minimum lot sizes. So this project, although it is different in lot size to what's adjacent to it, it is consistent with your current standards and requirements because it does meet those requirements. The other difference here about lot sizes is this project will have sewer and water. John's Landing is on septic, requiring the larger lot sizes. So there's the difference there as well. But this project is consistent in terms of its density, its lot sizes, and for this property. That addresses that. Next, please. The next is John's Landing, the buffering coordination. This was probably a big part of our discussion at the last meeting. As you all are aware, this property does abut John's Landing to the north and to the east. The pictures that are on your slide there, that's the existing fence with the brick columns on the northern boundary and eastern boundary of the property. So there is an existing fence line there. What's been happening since August is the developer, the applicant has been meeting with the John's Landing HOA to try to work through the issues and coordinate what would happen along those boundaries, along those interfaces with the project. The last meeting they had was on October 17th of this year. I do have in your agenda packet a snippet of an email I received from Mr. DeRuthi about what he felt the result of that meeting was. I won't speak for them. I'll let them present what happened there with that discussion. One of the things that we have recommended to address this issue, because we know it is of a concern, is, and it is a recommendation to the commission tonight, is that you include a condition that really requires them to continue the dialogue and coordination with the HOA to try to come to a resolution agreement with them on what that boundary will be. Will it be a brick wall? Will it be a landscape wall? What will it be? What do both sides want it to be? Again, consistent with what we as a town will approve. The one amendment I have to what's in your packet, and this was from a discussion earlier today, is the question came up, what would happen if we can't come to an agreement with the HOAs? That's a good question. So what we are recommending is to add to that condition to also say, if they're unable to come to an agreement, then they would have to place a hedge along those 2 boundaries, minimum of 3 foot in height at time of planting, with a shade tree every 30 feet within there. So you end up with a landscape buffer along that existing fence line there. That would be the default if they can't come to an agreement between the 2 parties. So that is one addition that's not in your packet that we would recommend that you include that as part of your condition. To have a buffer in there beyond just the fence that's there now, to add landscaping to that fence, which could help that that buffer between the properties. Next, please. Next is traffic and schools. So with traffic, that was a question of concern at the last meeting. So the applicant, they did prepare a traffic study. Under your code, it's called a minor traffic study because of the size of the project. It's not a very large project. So what that traffic study showed was that the impact of this project on existing traffic and existing operations, it will not have a negative impact on the existing level of service. Now, I will say, the existing level of service on State Road 50 is not good. So it doesn't make it. So because it's a very small impact to that volume. It's less than 1% of the volume of traffic that goes through the Remington Road and State Road 50 intersection. So this project, the 20 units, does not have a negative impact on that operation within traffic. Yes, ma'am.
May I add?
Absolutely.
Apparently this part really bothers me. First, I'd like to point out that Highway 50 is a state road. We do not have jurisdiction over this road. To fix it, to maintain it, to increase or decrease traffic other than what happens in our town. I will also say that 80% of the traffic getting off at the Turnpike is going to Claremont. So we also don't have jurisdiction over what Claremont does. We only have jurisdiction here. So I just want people to understand when we get to roads, who controls what.
Which is a very significant issue here in West Orange County. It's very, very significant. So thank you, Mayor.
Vote on November 8th or before.
Thank you, Mayor. Also related to traffic, so it's out there for everyone to be aware, there will be internal roadways. They will be privately maintained. They will not be maintained by the town. They will be maintained by the development, by the HOA for that community. They're also being required to install sidewalks, both internal and external, to their project. And they're also required to reconstruct a portion of Remington Road to realign it and improve that piece. So there is quite a bit of transportation or roadway improvement as part of this project that they are committed to doing. In terms of school impact, that is something that we do need to look at. That process has started with Orange County School District. They have filed the application with them for concurrency determination, saying, is there enough capacity within the school system? Prior to them coming forward to you for the final plat, we'll have that determination from the school district on whether or not there's some type of mitigation or anything required for schools. But that process is in place, is currently ongoing. So we do have that addressed. Next, please. In terms of utilities and stormwater, one of the big design changes that you'll see on this plan is the stormwater pond there on Remington Road. If you recall back in August, what you saw there was a rectangle, just a boring little rectangle. Your code doesn't allow that. Your code requires retention ponds to be more natural in shape and have a natural look to it as opposed to just an engineered square or rectangle. That is what they did. They revised their stormwater pond there to meet the requirements of your code, to have more of a natural shape. You'll also see on their landscape plan, they also have landscaping around that. So that did change in character and actually, quite honestly, much better than it did before. So with the utilities, with the stormwater, of course, they still need to go through their full stormwater permitting with the St. Johns River Water Management District to get the actual sizing of the ponds and everything. I mean, they have an idea, so I don't think it'll change significantly from what you have here today, but that still is a process they still need to go through. If this moves forward after tonight, is through that permitting for the stormwater management. And then in terms of water and wastewater, they will be connecting to the town's water and wastewater systems. They're constructing a lift station that will be dedicated to the town. And with the water system, they are looping the system to help with the town's operations of your water system. So there are improvements to new customers coming onto the town system as well, improvements to your system as part of this project. Next, please. The next part was before you back in August. It's still before you. What part of this project is also a memorandum of understanding. Those improvements that I spoke about the road improvements and utility improvements, those are part of this memorandum of understanding, which says this is what the developer is required to do at their cost as part of this project. And that is their access to the project, constructing and dedicating the lift station, the looping of the water system, the providing all on and off-site improvements required for connection to the town's wastewater system, constructing the sidewalks, reconstructing Remington Road, and also when they come through the plating, provide the appropriate financial guarantees for the construction of the infrastructure as part of the plat requirement of your code. The applicant has already signed that memorandum of understanding, so they already have agreed to all those conditions. What we were asking the town commission tonight, if you were to approve this, is to also authorize the town manager to sign that memorandum of understanding for this project. Next, please. So in our review of the updated engineering plan and our engineer, when we reviewed it, we had a couple of issues that we raised that we believe can be addressed and will be addressed prior to the final engineering plan. One of the concerns that we've talked to, and we had a discussion with the applicant on Friday about this, is the grading of lots, particularly the three on the lake side. Those three lots there's significant grade change on those lots. We just wanted the applicant to be aware, we want to be sure that those are appropriately addressed, so it doesn't cause site impacts from what happens on those properties. The applicant does have some ideas on how to address that with things like stem walls and terracing, which actually already exists in John's Landing to deal with those issues. Again, we believe it can be addressed as they come through the rest of the process with the town. The next part is refinement of the tree plan. They do have a landscape plan. You may notice some of the lots appear to have a wall of trees across the front. Not sure how you get a driveway through there. They're aware of that. So the number of trees won't be reduced, but it will be refined in their location to make sure we have viable building sites for both access as well as for homes to go on those sites. So just the refinement of that plan, again, that will be part of that final engineering plan. And then finally is the wall buffer agreement with the Johns Landing HOA, or in default of that, providing the required buffer by the town for this project. So those are the three main issues for the final engineering plan. Unlike in August, I do believe all these can be appropriately addressed with the additional engineering that will happen for the project. Next, please. So finally, these are our recommendations for you this evening. Many of them you saw before. The first is pretty standard. The site plan, building design, and lot layout, landscape and buffering are subject to review through our standard construction site plan and platting process. Design review. We're not providing for any variance or waivers to your requirements or to your design standards. Everything that goes through for their houses that will be built, they're going to have to meet all your design standards for the homes. So there's no waivers or variances being approved for this project. Asking to authorize the town manager to sign the memorandum of agreement. And then the last one is continuing the cooperation, coordination with the Johns Landing HOA on the fence buffering. Then adding to that, if we're unable to come to an agreement, then provide the landscape, the hedge at 3 feet, with the shade trees every 30 feet line. So that is our short presentation for you this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have of me. And again, I know the applicant has a presentation as well.
All right. So at the table, we're at step one. It sounds like extensive discussion that we had in August has been dealt with. And this is what is being presented to us. I had just a couple quick questions, and I'm sure you guys have some, and I could be asking at the wrong time. So this is not going to be a gated community?
No, ma'am.
All right, good, correct answer. And then somebody needs to tell me when I need to stop asking this question. The landscaping is native and native friendly?
I will let the applicant address that, but we will make that a requirement. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I think that's in our
I
code.
believe that is as well. And like I said, everything that's in your code, they will have to adhere to. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's fine. So what I'd like to do is, if we have any questions or comments, I'd rather do those now. And then if the applicant needs to, clarify some things, then we'll do that. Otherwise, unless you're dying to make a presentation, you know, I don't know that we'll need it.
I'll be here for questions, helps to answer. I'm not compelled to make one.
Okay, all right. So at this point, I need oh, wait a minute, questions at the table, you guys?
I've got a question when it comes to the lake front. We had a huge discussion on whether the 80-foot was appropriate or not. Understand that it is within the parameters we can legally do, but we also have to look at what is surrounding them. I haven't heard that there was any discussion about that, and we asked for some discussion on that.
No, with that, what we did look at is, as you said, sir, is that first, what are they allowed to do under your code? When we look at what's adjacent to them, what we saw is really the primary difference in the lot sizes was really being driven by the fact that there's septic on those other lots and then that other subdivision, which in my opinion drives that lot size to be larger. I believe at 80 feet, they can be developed and still protect. They are providing a swale on the back side of those lots to prevent runoff to come directly into the lake. So there is protections there. And again, that's why we are concerned about the grading, to say when we get the final engineering to assure that it doesn't have offsite impacts, not only to adjacent properties, but also to the lake behind.
Brad, if I may, I'll kind of want to step up and say a few words. If I may.
Well, let's see how it goes. All right, you know, I do want conversation that is substantive and clarifying, but if we get to that point, then we're just gonna vote. So, but who knows where we end up.
And I will say too, and you did see in my staff report, I do have the statement in there that we're not guaranteeing that they can get all three of those lots there, depending on what happens with the final engineering to assure that we don't have a negative impact off site. So they are aware of that. They're not happy about that, but they are aware of that potential as this moves forward.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the exact same thing Mike brought up. I'm kind of disappointed they kept the 80-foot wide lots because I don't know if you can refresh my memory what the neighboring lot widths were.
I
They're
unfortunately.
considerably wider than
125 plus. 125 plus.
Okay,
That's,
so I think
Hang on a minute, Ed.
I think you really should divide it, make two lots 120 feet wide, just to be more consistent with the neighbors that's there now. I mean, I'm just putting these 80-foot wide lots, and I don't know what kind of homes you're gonna have on there next to what's there on the neighboring property. Just I don't think it's fair to the other homeowners.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I will say that 70-foot minimum is a minimum. That it can always be made larger.
Okay, Ed, you had
Talking about the
something,
lake probably.
I mean, in terms of the requirement.
Ed, you had something to say?
Well, I do, and in regards of some factual information we've gathered, because I took the approach, quite frankly, to try to evaluate lot sizes in a very kind of correct, objective way, meaning let's prove ourselves wrong. Let's prove that it shouldn't be, or it should be larger per se. And if I may, I don't know if you could see these slides, but I did an analysis of the closest, benchmark, which is John's Landing. So we looked at the overall lot constitution of the 31 lots along the lakeshore in John's Landing. And of those 31 lots, basically 10 of them, a pretty good percentage of them.
That'd be a third.
A third are within what I would call arguably a tolerance in size, ranging anywhere from 80 feet to 96 feet.
Okay.
There are 3 lots that are respectively 80.65, 87.88, and 86.75. And I looked at it and I said, well, how is the curb appeal of those homes on a lot of that size? Would it be, because ultimately we're in this for the long run. We're going to be there to do site work. We're going to turn it over to the builder and they have to have viability. So I looked at it again, from a subjective, point of view. They don't look so bad. I mean, in terms of the curb appeal, if you will, of these homes. So on an 80 somewhat foot lot. And then I kind of looked further on aerials that are next slides.
Okay, wait a minute, back up, Ed.
Yep,
So you haven't quantified the remaining lots.
yes, I have.
You did all 30 lots?
31.
So a third of the lots are 80 feet or better.
So,
The rest of them are 70 and less, ish.
no, greater sizes. So of the next tiering of lots is ranging from 100 to 110 feet.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yes, and that constitute.
How many lots?
12 lots, both
So-
9%. So,
12 big ones, 3 mid.
yeah, and that's all in our presentation. 71% of the lots are anywhere from 80 to 110. 23%, 7 lots are 119 to 144. So when you look at it, in kind of a layman's standpoint and look at our subdivision, our proposed subdivision, and we have 70-foot interior lots, all compliant with land use and zoning and design. The notion of putting in 2 130-foot lots on the lake kind of in my mind disbalances things. It really doesn't really make a great deal of sense from a balance and aesthetic standpoint. So again, with that being anecdotal, I looked at it and said, well, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the data. Will they look good? Will they have good curb appeal? Will they be, will they feel right? And in my opinion, they do. Not only are they compliant, but they are indeed, kind of stood the test, if you will, of what I threw at it to just make sure we're right. I mean, it's ultimately we want to do what's correct because it has to stand up to it.
Right, well, and I can see your point that 2 125 or 2 130-foot lots in a development that the maximum lot size take away the lakefront lots is 70 feet or less. That to me would seem like, without laying it on paper, would make it seem odd.
Just would look a little strange.
Well,
I don't know how you come up 130. I mean, you got 380-foot, basically 380-foot wide lots or less. That's 240 divided up by 2 is 120.
Okay,
So
I took a guess. I think it's 256 feet. What's it, 78, 79 and 80, whatever that.
I tell my husband.
yes, so that's less than 240. So
So are those 3 examples that you have up there, are those the 86?
Yes, the 80, the 86 and
So those are in John's Landing on the 3 smallest lots on the lake.
correct.
they're 86-foot wide lot.
Yeah. An 80 and 86 and a 89 or something.
80.65, 87.88, 86.75.
So 3 lots right there, are 87 feet or less. They're in John's Landing. He's giving you an example of what those look like,
Right.
what the 80-foot lots could support within Bayview.
And there's aerials as well. And, granted, some of the lots may lie differently towards the lake, but, it just appeared to make sense.
And this is the appropriate,
3 lots adjacent to your property. I thought one was like 125 feet right next.
Yeah, it is.
They vary.
Yeah,
he
the
was
3
talking about all the lakefront lots as a whole.
the ones that are adjacent, I went and looked at them also. Like in the ones that are adjacent to them, are all in the 120s.
Yeah, well, there's the sample set
Yeah.
there.
So it doesn't match to have those bigger ones in those three. We had talked about maybe you do maybe 110 or so, maybe a little bit of green space in that community or something, but I guess obviously you didn't look at that.
Okay, so I have a question,
Yes.
and this is for Brad.
Yes, ma'am.
And Steve, you can jump in if you want. Are we talking about this at the appropriate time, lot size?
I think, yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, so when it comes back to us for the other two approvals, this needs to be nailed down in
Yes, ma'am.
this.
Because for them to do their final engineering and their plat, to have
Okay.
a lot.
All right, because that's where we got a field last time, once we
Exactly.
started talking about things that we had no business talking about.
So what you're doing is you're giving them basically a max of 20 lots. If their engineering doesn't support that, they could come back with something less, but cannot come back with something more.
Now, if I may add, just, in speaking to the additions, one of which is with, the John's Landing, HOA with that. We have worked very, very closely with them. We had a recent meeting and I won't, go through all the specifics, but, that meeting really went through some of the more drilled down points in terms of how the wall will be built, to what height, some of the structural engineering of the wall, et cetera, et cetera. So we aesthetics and design and we presented a letter of intent, our legal did to the HOA, just to kind of formally establish the fact that we are, obviously ready and willing to do that. We will be paying for the wall. We will convey ownership of the wall to John's.
Got it. All right, so here's my next question, Brad and Steve. Is this the only, and to the commission, is this the only issue we have at this point, at this step? Or are there other questions?
No, that's the only question I had. The wall seems to be a little bit gray.
Yeah, but it's, at least it's been addressed.
Yes,
All right,
this had.
The only issue I have, but I would also question their measurements. I'm not worried. I mean, the other lots on John's Landing, they aren't square or straight like this. They got a skinny part and a wide part on their lots. Are you taking the skinny side of each lot? Is that where you're getting your measurements, or?
Well, I'm taking the curve, the at curve measurement.
At the curve.
That's at apples to apples. Basically, we're looking at our curb point width. And these are all curb point width comparisons.
Okay.
I stand corrected if I may. The sample set that we saw on that slide had to do with similar grade and finished floor elevations that our engineers could talk to with regard to stem wall and terracing solutions that have been done, which is another,
well, we have opinions about that, and if that's not appropriate to talk about right now, I don't want to talk about it.
that's fine.
Correct? Steve, Brad?
Yeah, we're not talking about design of houses.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about terracing. I don't want to talk about stem walls. It has nothing to do with this conversation.
What he's
I know what it's saying.
he's putting forward is appropriate. Stem walls is something that we, but it's not necessarily the conversation for right now.
No. And Lord knows it's hard enough to have this conversation without having any more.
That was my only question to answer your question.
So what are our options? We can vote no and tell them to bring us back a different layout with larger lakefront lots. What, they're already within code.
They are within your zoning code and the neighborhood general as far as meeting the density requirements and the lot sizes.
So tell me what our options are.
Well, we either vote yes or no, and no being come back with, 19 lots and see where it's at, or you vote yes and let it go where it is. Those are really your only two options.
Lawyer?
So the determination that is before you tonight is whether this plan is code compliant. And so that is really the determination you're making. Is this compliant with the code? Is this agreement that you've struck with the developer enough for you?
So what if it's compliant and it's not enough for us?
Then we get into some risky territory. I don't know.
So we
I don't want to
could
define
table it again.
Yes, you could table it and we could have discussions with the developer continuing.
You know, the motion could be to table it rather than to just, you know, motion down. This is one very, very big issue. But it's one issue in something that was huge last time we talked.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested in taking comments from the audience.
Yeah.
And then we'll get a motion on the table. And a motion on the table just means that we're going to be able to let you guys talk. Doesn't mean that that's what we're going to do. It's just a motion on the table. It can die. It can be amended. It can be anything. And I'd like to get some public comment. If you think that's the wisest.
I'll reserve.
Yeah, we'll call you when we need you.
Yeah, you do have members of John's Landing here.
So do you feel like that's the wisest? I'm looking at you, Steve, not Brad, looking at you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, okay. Now, you know, people who attend regularly know how much I love public comment. So if you feel like you want to comment on this, give us your thoughts. We'd like them to be short and concise and non-redundant. You need to come to the podium. You need to tell us who you are and where you live, and you need to sign the sign-in sheet. Okay? So do I have any takers? Okay, come on up. You are the president of the HOA. Ah.
Good evening. Just a couple of comments we'd like to make. I'd like to make.
Name and
Charmaine Porter, President of John's Landing HOA. Couple of comments. We have been in discussion with the developer regarding the buffer wall. As far as we are concerned, they have in principle agreed to either fill in our current fence section or to build a complete new wall. So that's how far our discussions have come. One of the reasons for that is the only section of John's Landing that has an iron fence wall. The rest of it is a 6-foot wall. I'm not sure why that happened, but it's just literally that little piece that has got the fence in it.
I'm sure we probably couldn't tell you. I'm serious.
So obviously with our concerns about the difference of these two neighborhoods, and let's be honest, they are really different neighborhoods. We do assume that the developer is going to keep their word. I mean, the last meeting we had was on October 17, and we were given a letter of intent, which does state construction, brick fill, masonry, infill, or a complete new wall. And the complete new wall would be if the current pillars will not be able to be structurally sound for the infill of the wall. So that's where we are right now, and that is our understanding right now. The last meeting, we did have to go back to our attorney, so we've been up and down because our attorney we weren't told there was going to be an attorney on their call, so we didn't have ours available, but we needed her to obviously go through some of this information. So that is our biggest concern, as you know, is
the wall.
Purely because the backs of those properties are going to be facing our neighborhood and our entranceway, which is a big concern for us. That's number one. The other, not issue, but we have a concern. We did see from the presentation that the developer gave that there's going to be tapping off, and I know it's going to be an engineering concern, is tapping off from Lago Vista's water. We just want to be told that it's not going to cause an issue for water pressure for us, that it's not going to be an issue for our community if they tap off. I'm not an engineer that knows any of this, so just stating our concern. And then I know you did talk a little bit about the traffic, and I do understand the 50s, not your jurisdiction. I assume Remington Road is. And if you're not aware, since the racetrack has been built, we have got that island, and it is a nightmare coming in and out of Remington Road generally right now for our community, because people are trying to get in and trying to get into the racetrack. Our community is trying to get in, and it is an issue. So we would like to see something broaden something the top end of Remington if that is possible. It's already an issue. That's our concern there. Thank you so much for your time.
Any address to those lots?
Um,
Any issues with those lot sizes?
I think the lot sizes were addressed the last time, and I know you're busy talking about it right now, is that they are too small. One thing I will tell you, if I do look at John's Landing, our smallest lakefront lots, and as you are all aware, they're not rectangular, they staggered sizes. The smallest averages around 90, but then it tapers to 100 on the other side. So, and that is, there's I think about 3 or 4 that are 90. Most of them are over 100.
Would you happen to know what the average square footage is?
No, I pulled up the Orange County map a second ago. I wouldn't be able to tell you what the average square footage is, maybe. I'll just push the one right now.
Square footage is on, all the square footages are on.
So we're looking at 25,000 square foot, 0.6 acres. Is that just one I've just clicked on that's randomly?
I'm sorry, what?
Ed is saying that the square footage is on this table that he put forward. We don't have that in front of us. So did you bring that? Copies?
I think I would just like to maybe ask if you could consider the wall that we would like a landscaping buffering is really not going to do anything for us in our community.
So, I mean, the way I heard it articulated, and maybe I misunderstood, was that you guys could not come to consensus. So are you saying that the developer?
No, we haven't. That is the letter I've been taking from them right now. The only reason it wasn't signed is because we had to give it through, I had to do our board and get it through to our.
Oh, we're good with that?
Yes, yeah, Mayor, and the way.
Then we're good with that.
Yes, and Mayor, the way the condition is written, if they can come to an agreement, which I believe they can as well, then that's what it'll be. The only time that landscape provision would come in if they were not to come to an agreement. But as she said, if the agreement with the HOA is to do the solid wall, that's what it'll be.
Well, that's the agreement in principle right now.
Right.
That's what we've been told.
Okay,
Either a fill-in or a complete new wall.
okay. Thank you. I appreciate your approach. All right, anybody else?
Real quick, Ed, what lots of those three we're talking about, what numbers?
Oh,
You got John here and that square footage.
So there's not square footage on this, Ed?
yes.
Where?
You got acreage, 0.75 acres, 0.67.
Where's the square footage? That's good.
It's acreage.
That's acre.
That's what I say, what number is or lots are they?
So this is acreage, not square footage?
Right.
Yes, but you
That's
could,
different.
it's four guys going 35 and 60. So I was talking real estate.
Rick? Can somebody come give it to Rick? Steve, you want one? Scott? Yes, sir.
Say something.
So this is Scott Fontenot.
Scott Fontenot, I live at 516 Corona Vista. I think my picture's on there. So I can give you some perspective on what my lot looks like. I think the bottom right, I think it's my address, 516 Largo Vista.
But what do you mean you think? You don't know your address?
No, I think.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, that's,
I don't know what my
okay.
front size is, but I know that it's oddly, my curve is shorter than my lakefront.
Right.
And I think it's on his sample, so he may. You may know exactly what it is, but to give you some, I want to,
Is that right there, right?
yes, the one with the 2 trees in the back, yes. I don't know how big it is, so I don't know on your list, if it was in the 80s or I'm just giving, and my belief is if it's 87. The one that's outlined there, I can't tell which one's outlined for 87 by 2.
88 was like 226.
Is it up on top?
If the house is,
This one. This is
okay, the blue,
That's got, yeah.
that's it. All right, I'm on the sample.
So you're 88 by 226, 87 point.
And it's,
At 226, you said?
well, that's the land. It's 87.88.
I'm trying to pull up the lot sizes here, but I don't think any of,
But I guess what I'm trying to tell you, it's
Yeah.
plenty big. It's plenty big for us. And I'm not close to the development.
Lakefront.
Lakefront wise, yeah, I mean, you see the lakefront there, it's a big beach.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, do I have anybody else? No, not you yet, not yet.
Shay Taylor. Just an outsider look on this. So the lot sizes, does it count into the lake? Just. So 27, does it go into the lake? I see the marker. But does it continue into the center of the lake? Because that looks pretty darn long.
yeah. And what's the length of these lakefront lots? I'm trying to pull it up here.
Well, a couple of things I think to keep in mind on the proposed project is the lot sizes themselves. I know the 284, all the lot sizes, but 284. You know, the new project will be on sewer.
Right.
So the need for a septic or drain fill or anything is null and void with this. The other good thing about, I think, a positive about this particular project is it will bring sewer down the street to that. So as septic tanks start failing, you have the ability to then run through and connect to those houses that sit along the lake and stuff.
Yeah, my biggest nightmare is for anyone is that your sewer or your septic tank fails 2 years before you're required to hook onto sewer. That's a double whammy.
Yeah, it stinks. So that's just a couple of things. I think the lot sizes, if and your property is not going out into the lake and it stops right at the water level or whatever it does, you know, that could be the difference there. But that's my.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, deep are these 3 lots?
This thing here says these 3 lots are,
Our 3 lots.
And
And
paving.
this one.
the 3 lots are 79, 2 of them 79 by 284 and 1 of them 80 by 284. So 2 of them are 78.94. So it's
284 feet deep.
deep length. Yeah,
That's pretty significant.
a long way.
Because if you take that and put it up against Scott's lot, it's, you know, very similar.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Not yet. Carol Thomas said,
It's like.
not yet.
John's Landing here.
Yeah, wonderful place to
I'm more sure you do.
Gotta say them quickly though.
Everybody else.
Yeah, I want to get public comment. It's really. I'm just giving you a hard time. Sorry. Okay. At the table. Are we still worried about lots?
Well, the reality is, we seem to be probably a little more worried about it than they do. So maybe.
But, okay, but tell me why you're worried about a lot that is extremely similar to a lot of the lots.
The reason.
Are you on the lake, Scott? You're not on the, you are on the lake.
Yeah, he's on the lake. His is.
Yeah,
How far
it's the
down is
same.
it? When I went and looked at them, the 3 that were right continuous to these 3 were 3 really big ones, and it was very obvious. that-
And have they been built on?
Yeah, they're built.
This house is there.
Yeah. That
It's
was,
like a cul-de-sac.
Okay,
yeah, you get, yeah.
you know, and this is
And that was a
something,
concern on the looks of it compared to your neighbors. Like,
and this is something that becomes a painful point every time we go to Lake.
Mhm.
And we have talked about the fact that we're not gonna, we want to get to a place where maybe we don't do some lakefront. But I don't think we're there yet. So, correct, Steve?
You don't have a whole lot of future opportunities other than what's in Barley Farm, and there's only a couple of those that were being proposed as being lakefront, the rest of them are Lakeview.
Mhm.
You've got these three here, and you may have a few eventually on the former Bin Laden property that might be lakefront. But you don't have a whole lot more coming before you as far as lakefront lots.
Okay.
Again, these are, just to go back, and I didn't realize it's a different lake, but at Whole Island, the lots that were approved there were 80 and 85 feet. They started out at 60 and we got them up to 80 to 85 feet. Over at the.
Do you remember what they were by?
Hmm?
Were they by 200 feet or?
I don't know how deep they were. I couldn't tell you.
All right, and then the other thing to think about is this is within our code.
It is.
So, we open ourselves up for, further scrutiny that we may not want. I am agnostic on this one. Considering, I look at Scott's lot and that looks darn big to me.
Well,
So I just, okay, Ed, I'll let you say some nice stuff.
Thank you.
And then we need to get a vote on, we don't have a vote on the table. We need to get a vote on the table and then we'll go from there.
I received, John Dollins, who lives in
On who?
Dollins. That's his name.
Okay.
He owns the road originally and
Uh-huh.
sold it to someone in Teneder that we bought from. And he's always been a proponent and supporter. So I called John and I said, hey, John, would you mind coming to the meeting and telling everyone how supportive you are? And he says, I got to tell you something, Ed. Really can't do that. And I said, why? Nothing's changed. He says, I really prefer 2 lots on the lake. And I said, well, John, I said, that's all well and good, but I said, we're compliant, land use and zoning and design, et cetera, entitled to do this. And I said, relative to the size of the lots and the community, et cetera. But he says that, I've got to be honest with you, it's just a selfish and really just kind of serving myself.
My backyard.
And I said, John, put it that way, and I totally understand it, because the thing to think about is that if you're on 1.66 acres with one home and you're looking over to us, you're going to obviously think, well, 2 would be better. If you're in an 87 or an 86, you're going to say, well, you know what? That's not a bad thing. So we start to, go down the path of subjective analysis, and perspectives are different. That's why your code's there. That's why your land use is there. And I think that has to be given significant weight to your decisions.
Yeah, it's just, this is an environmental thing that we've wrestled with for every time we do this.
And I understand that. And we are going through some, I think, significant expense to bring in sewer for 20 lots. It's really something that we're doing that's going to, think about how many.
Don't we require that? Or it just depends on how close they are?
I think it is. This particular one sets itself up for that, yes.
Okay.
We would require that.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have any comments? All right. So I think what our options here are is vote yes, or make a motion to accept it as is, as presented, with the staff recommendation, which are on the last page, so make sure you guys are comfortable with those. So Stephanie, listen hard for me, to accept it. With the provision that we want the lakefront lots to be larger. Can we do that, or can we just table it to a? We can vote no, we can vote yes, we can table.
I would say that those are your
Okay.
better options.
Okay. And if we're gonna table this, we need to table it to like the next meeting. Cause I really do feel for the developer, this has gone on long enough that we need to, you know, if we can do it at the next meeting, get the advertisement out. Do you think you can do that, Elise?
I already have the advertisement out for the second reading because of the timing.
So I'm sure you and Stephanie can figure that out, right?
This isn't an ordinance. We're not reading this as a second.
Oh, sorry, no, I don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Advertise this one. Sorry, I was thinking the ordinance.
Okay, so yes, no, table to a date certain. But this is the last time we can kick that can down the road.
I would say, I'll go ahead and just make the motion that we table it to the next meeting to give them one more chance to talk about these lot sizes have gone from 3 to 2. Everything else we would agree with on the recommendations.
Okay, I need a second, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved in second. I'm going to open a public hearing. Does anybody have any further comment? All right, this is going to be on the agenda at our next meeting.
Which is
November 8th. November 8th, believe it or not. And that is our only meeting in
November.
November. So does that slow them down because you had the second step at the next meeting?
No, this is only a step.
Okay, good. All right.
And we can make it real
Um,
quick as long whenever.
Yeah, we haven't voted yet. I opened a public hearing. I'm going to close the public hearing. What I would say, my sympathies to you, Ed. I know this has gone on a little long, but we're in a heck of a better place than we were in October. So we'll get there.
August.
I think it was October, was it? August?
August,
August, yeah. All right. So all in favor? Pat, motion passes. All right. Town manager report.
Just a couple things.
Thanks, folks. We appreciate it.
Oh, we're left with the crops.
Okay. They've had enough.
Yeah.
Couple things. You've seen some press releases. Just a reminder, we've got Santa's Lane coming on December 3rd. We've already had a lot of people, looking at that and viewing that. We've talked about this previously, but we've got a 300,000 grant for a water related project, which actually benefits John's Landing because it will help create the loop that's not within John's Landing right now. So if they're worried about the water at Bayview, that's not really this will.
I was gonna ask Parker, so.
Yeah, this will enhance their water system, their pressures. And then we've also seen the press release on the Oakland Police Department seeking the grant for the K-9 program.
Vote, vote, vote. Yeah, vote every day.
Got it.
And then the last thing I have is Jack and Mike have been working with a vendor about painting the water tower with the new logo. You have
How much does it cost?
Sit down.
$21,000.
That's all?
So we are going to move forward with that. We will accommodate that.
It makes no sense.
Well,
We might spend.
Just for the water tower.
yeah, we're gonna fix the lights too.
Are they gonna do the background paint and the logo or just the logo?
They have to paint the cylinder in order to have a smooth background.
That's what I would think.
Right.
$21,000.
Let it go, Mayor. We got a good price.
Well, there you go.
We'll accommodate that in the budget and we're gonna move forward with that project.
Shocked.
You're fixing the lights too.
Yeah, I think part of the project, they're gonna fix the lights.
Even better.
Yeah.
I thought it'd
That's
be a
another
whole lot more.
21,000.
All right. I'm sorry, Joseph. Mayor and commission reports. All right, Joseph, you go first.
I don't have anything.
Mikey?
I'm good, yeah.
ONP has Pumpkin Glow this Friday and Saturday night from 6 to 9 p.m.
Okay. I have nothing. Joseph?
All right, if our hearts and minds are satisfied.
Uh,
It went better than